I'm in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivant. All right, we want to start off with the big story of today, big story of the week, quite frankly, and that is the situation involving Silfab in York County. So I just want to read you the headline right now on our website. It says, quote, "We follow protocols. Silfab tries to downplay impact of a chemical incident that sparked outrage." So earlier today, this morning, we heard from Silfab Solar. They addressed the two incidents at its Fort Mill manufacturing facility this week, downplaying any potential impact to the community, employees, and nearby school, blaming, quote, significant amounts of misinformation about the leaks. So again, we heard from the director of operations with Silfab. The company said it is extremely committed to operating safe and secure facilities. Our Anna King was at the press conference, is there in Fort Mill, has been covering this story this week. Anna, you were there. We again, as I mentioned, we heard from Silfab's director of operations. Break down what we know so far.
Yeah, so what we know so far is that this was, like you said, the second chemical leak at this plant this week. So Fort Mill School District had to close the school out of caution. And officials say there was never any risk. They told us that even at the press conference that there was never a risk to their employees here or the community here or the environment. And so I asked them, moving forward, would there be any additional communication with the school so that these type of extremes do not happen again? And I think really the big thing here is trust among between Silfab and the community, because like we've been covering tensions with Silfab for a minute now, and so just the trust is the big thing. And they kind of hit on that, saying that moving forward they would be taking more precautionary efforts to increase that communication. And they also allowed us to, the interesting thing was they allowed us to go into the facility or look inside of the facility to see exactly what they were talking about. Of course, cameras were not allowed inside there, so I can kind of try to paint the picture here. Inside they had two tanks that would hold hydrofluoric acid, and one tank was filled about 2/3 of the way and had that leak that had been reported or that we've been talking about since yesterday. The other tank is completely empty. So they told us during the press conference that next week during their inspections, they're hoping to move the hydrofluoric acid from one tank to the empty tank after it's inspected and looked through. So that way they can make sure, they're not just moving the hydrofluoric acid from one tank to another tank that will potentially leak as well. So they did paint the picture of taking these precautionary efforts as opposed to being more it being more of a reactions type of situation. And so, they gave us all a lot of intel on how they will be moving forward when it comes to communicating and keeping the community up to date. So a lot to look forward to coming up here in the later shows for my story.
All right, that's Anna King again, covering the latest with Silfab. She's been following this story all week long. Anna, thank you for your time.